Good morning, nostalgists. Can anyone here remember Anneka Rice? She was very popular in the UK at one point, might still be for all I know, but I think her heyday was really the late 80s, the early to mid 90s. She was one of the first of the do anything adventure people that television threw up at that particular time anyway. And in the early 90s, actually starting 1989, she had a few series called Challenge Anneka, where people would write in and get her to do sort of daredevil stuff or to organize things for a good cause, because she was a very, very good organizer. I know she had a big team behind her, but it's obvious that she was good at organizing stuff, and she really came to her fore in this. Purely by chance, the other day I was watching a YouTube video featuring George Harrison and his second wife Olivia, and they were talking about the aftermath of the Romanian Ceausescu regime and the desperate conditions in the orphanages there. And that triggered a memory for me, because one of the Challenge Anneka programs gave her the task of going out to a particular orphanage in Romania and trying to do her best to relieve the absolutely appalling conditions for the kids that were living there. And this produced, in my mind, one of the simplest and most powerful pieces of television ever, because they had a close shot on her face when she went into the orphanage and saw the state of the children for the first time. It was such a shock. She looked at the kids and her eyes just welled with tears. It's an image that stayed with me forever. And here is a short video clip that I took from that series. I've also added a link to the description so you can watch the entire program if you've got the stomach for it.
It's the smell that hits you first of all, isn't it? It's like stable. It's the only way to describe it.
This is my own compared to what it was in the summer. Hello.
Hello. This way? Yeah, let's go, let's go. Okay. You just lie here. That's right. So Geraldine, they're just never picked up, or they just left here all day?
Just most of the day, but you can't really blame the ladies because, you know, there's so many children and you've got one woman to save 40 children.
Just nothing prepares you
Nothing
What you
comes
see, I mean,
apart.
that's just,
You can see so many films and so
Yeah.
many documentaries,
yeah.
and until you've been in, there's just nothing.
And there we have it. This is an incredible example of what happens when, I was going to call it a banana republic, but it's not, when a communist state collapses. Because believe it or not, Ceausescu started off as one of the more moderate communist outlying leaders. He refused to ally himself very closely with Russia in the day, and therefore he distanced himself from some of their policies. But he also allied himself with the Palestinian Liberation Organization and other groups from that part of the world. Around 1989, he had the great idea to eliminate all of Romania's foreign debt, which is a good idea, but he decided to do it by an austerity package that would make what Britain has suffered over the last decade or so seem like a walk in the park. He literally starved his country almost to the point of death. And this resulted in a revolution in late 1989 where he was deposed, and shortly after that both he and his wife were executed. Now obviously I'm not quite sure of the details, but as I researched this a little bit, it seemed that, believe it or not, they weren't quite as bad as I thought they were. Although you can see from this video that he'd consigned basically unwanted children into these horrendous homes where they were just abandoned and left to die. But it wasn't, as far as I know, as though his wife was like Imelda Marcos and had a whole house full of shoes when she finally met her end. No, they were just misguided idealists, if you like. But he did invent the cult of personality for that country, and he ended up paying the price for it. So I'm going to stick with my original title, Legacy of an Arsewipe. Cheers.